Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, in response to being asked whether they are looking forward to a potential Tyson Fury fight and an all top ranked showdown between Kubrat Pulev and Tyson Fury for the undisputed heavyweight world championship, his promoter has explained they are not overlooking AJ, but they believe that maybe Anthony Joshua could be overlooking them and potentially doing what he done in the first Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. Now, Bob Arum and Pulev's team, a lot of them seem to mirror Kubrat Pulev to Andy Ruiz Jr., but they are two completely different fighters, so that is kind of the first thing you have to look at and the glaring flaw in what they believe is going to happen on December 12th between Anthony Joshua and Pulev, because Anthony Joshua can have a better stand-up fight with Kubrat Pulev. He's there to be hit, and I think that what they are planning to do, and what they said they are going to do, is focus on their strengths and focus on the weaknesses of Anthony Joshua. The problem is, you need the right kind of style to exploit weaknesses in a fighter like Anthony Joshua, because everyone has weaknesses. There is no fighter who is perfect. Everyone has that one weakness, and they believe they can exploit it in Anthony Joshua. But if you are going to do that, you need the right kind of fighting style. He does not have that same style that Andy Ruiz Jr. had. That is the one that bothers Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua in there with someone who jabs at him and is there to be hit doesn't have all much head movement, and I guess Kubrat Pulev has good lateral movement and good positioning, but still, someone who will go in there and have a stand-up fight with Anthony Joshua will find it very difficult to find anything out of the fight, let alone get a victory. So they believe that Anthony Joshua is overlooking them, and that will be one of his greatest downfalls in this fight. Then they can go on to undisputed with Tyson Fury. So they're talking about the Tyson Fury fight, yet they are still focused on Anthony Joshua. That's kind of what Anthony Joshua is doing. He's never said that he's overlooking Kubrat Pulev. Of course, he's not going to say it, but I believe that, of course, Anthony Joshua is excited and has one eye, maybe, on the Tyson Fury fight. Of course he will. It's the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing, the one he's had his sights set on since he begun his career. So you can understand Anthony Joshua looking at that fight, but there is a big, tough challenge in front of him in Kubrat Pulev. I think that this fight will be as tough as Anthony Joshua wants to make it. So if Anthony Joshua wants to keep it simple, then I believe he can do that. If he wants to make it tough in there for himself, then he will do that also. If Anthony Joshua goes in there and has a boxing match with Kubrat Pulev and tries to play to the same kind of strengths that he had in the Ruiz rematch, then that does give Pulev a little bit more of a chance, because I think that Anthony Joshua can hurt Kubrat Pulev. So he doesn't have to leave him in there any longer than he needs to. And Anthony Joshua doesn't have the decision to just take Kubrat Pulev out when he wants to. It isn't as simple as that at this level. But I think that when Anthony Joshua starts going through the gears and picking up the pace, I don't think that Kubrat Pulev can stick with him. I just don't. If you look at the levels between the two of them and the opponents they have fought, you will see that there is a clear gulf in class between the two of them. So Anthony Joshua will be able to control Kubrat Pulev, and I think that Pulev will be looking to box. He won't want to make a fight of it with Anthony Joshua, so Anthony Joshua can drag him into deep waters by doing that, by doing the very thing Pulev does not want to do. Now, Pulev's promoter also said that he's seen styles like Anthony Joshua's before, and Anthony Joshua is a great specimen who punches very hard and is very athletic, but he has holes too. He isn't the complete package. Pulev can avoid the strengths and exploit the weaknesses. That is what he said about this fight between these two. Now, yes, maybe he has seen styles similar to Anthony Joshua's before, but no one as polished in every single aspect of that style as Anthony Joshua. That is the difference. You cannot say that Anthony Joshua has a similar style to what Kubrat Pulev has beaten before, and then say that they are on the same level, because yeah, maybe the styles are similar, but then look at the difference in class and the levels between them. So them also saying that they are going to avoid the strengths of Anthony Joshua and exploit the weaknesses. That is going to be very difficult to do when you have someone in there who has a better jab than Kubrat Pulev, moves better than Pulev, has better positioning, and punches a lot harder in both hands with combinations as well, punches and bunches, not just one at a time. Then you have a problem, because then how does Kubrat Pulev with his fighting style exploit the weaknesses of Anthony Joshua? And everyone has holes. Everyone has that certain thing that can be exploited by their opponent. What the important thing for that fighter to do is to take that advantage away, aka Anthony Joshua in the rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. He took away Andy Ruiz Jr.'s ability to get close to him and make a fight of it, because Andy Ruiz likes to throw hooks. Anthony Joshua also does like to throw hooks, but the problem is, when you hook with a hooker, you give them the opportunity to land their punches, and especially someone like Andy Ruiz, who gets close to Anthony Joshua, gets on the inside, then the shorter shots will work better for Andy Ruiz in close range. So what Anthony Joshua done was keep him at range, throw straight shots, because the straight shots will find a home before the hooks too, and they are longer, so that keeps him at range. So AJ adjusted what he was doing in there for the Ruiz rematch. And of course, Anthony Joshua will have to adjust his style again when he gets in there with Kubrat Pulev, because that is a different style compared to Andy Ruiz Jr. So, I mean, his manager is kind of saying that Kubrat Pulev has better footwork than Andy Ruiz Jr. and he will exploit the same weaknesses as Andy Ruiz Jr. But one thing he is neglecting is the punch durability of Andy Ruiz, and the fact that he's saying that Kubrat Pulev has a different style and he can exploit the same weaknesses in Anthony Joshua as Andy Ruiz Jr. did. So there is a glaring flaw in what he is saying there, because he says that Ruiz was able to exploit certain weaknesses in Anthony Joshua, so therefore Pulev can do that with a different style. Of course, you do not need one specific style to exploit the weaknesses in a certain fighter, of course you don't. But ultimately, if you want to exploit it to the extent where you cause an upset, then you do need a certain style to beat someone like Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua is an elite level heavyweight. So if Anthony Joshua was at world level, then those certain things might work. But considering Anthony Joshua is an elite level heavyweight, then he is able to adjust and overcome those obstacles. So all in all, Team Pulev believing they can exploit weaknesses in Anthony Joshua. I mean, yes, anyone can. Anyone can exploit the weakness in another fighter, but their style and how that matches up to the champion like Anthony Joshua heavily depends upon the success they get when they try and do that. Because if Pulev tries to sit in the pocket with Anthony Joshua, he'll get knocked out, whereas Andy Ruiz was able to stand there and trade with AJ. And it is those subtle things that will be the difference on fight night. Kubrat Pulev has a lot of talk and a lot of what his team has said to back up on the 12th of December. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.